Hey, again, this is coffee and no breakfast. Um, I was looking at something and I was thinking about, the metric system. Somebody said that, what was it? Kelvin temperature is for measuring what molecules experience, and Celsius is for measuring what water experiences, and Fahrenheit is for measuring what humans experience. I don't know about that. What I do know, though, is that I live in a country where the metric system, it's always been used. It came in a long time before I was born. Uh, so technically, people have always used the metric system here for my whole life, but that's not actually true. It's not actually true because when I was a kid, everybody talked about how much people weighed was in stone, whatever that is. I don't even know. Is it 14 pounds to a stone or something? And I remember having weird scales when I was a kid that measured in stones. That was strange. No one even talks about that anymore. Uh, because kgs, we use kgs for measuring how much people weigh and when we buy and sell stuff. Uh, but the important one is heights. Heights don't make any sense in centimeters. I'm arguing this. Heights don't make any sense in centimeters. Feet and inches make more sense because feet and inches have human considerable numbers. You know, how tall is somebody? A few feet, several feet. They're not going to be 10 feet. They're almost never going to be 7 feet. They're going to be 4, 5, or 6 foot something. And the subgrades are inch long subgrades, so there's a significant difference, but it's not a huge difference between 5'11" and 6 feet. That's a a conceivable measurement difference. And the numbers, so you're comparing, some kid might be 4'7", and a tall teenager might be 6'2", and those numbers are conceivable graduations. And so I think that's important. But what's important is that the numbers are all they're below a dozen. They're below a dozen. And so numbers that are below a dozen, or especially numbers below 10, are very easily conceivable. Now, if you're going to measure people's heights and use decimeters, that doesn't work either. It doesn't work because if somebody's 170 centimeters tall, and you go, I'm 17 decimeters tall. No, that doesn't work because the graduation between 17 and 18 decimeters is a humongous amount. That's like a 4-inch difference. And so because it's a 4-inch difference, it's a and the reason I'm using these mixtures of numbers to illustrate my point, the numbers have to be conceivable. The thing with centimeters for heights is that the difference between 183 and 184 centimeters is nothing. There's no meaning. No one can conceptualize a difference in that. You can barely conceptualize a difference between somebody who's 155 centimeters and 157 centimeters. That doesn't. I can't imagine how tall a 155 centimeter tall person is, or 157 centimeter tall. And in fact, I can barely conceptualize my own height. And I think I'm something like 187 centimeters or 178. I don't even know. I don't know because the numbers are meaningless numbers. Whereas I know how tall I am. I'm 5'11" and 3/4. No, I remember because I'm a smidgen under 6 feet tall. If I stand up straight, I'm 6 feet tall. And I know how tall I am because I know how tall my granddad was. I'm the same height as my granddad. He was 5'11 3/4. That's why I remember it that way. It's a conceivable number. I can conceive it. I can conceive it. Um, you know, my little brother is basically the same height as me. I think he might be slightly taller. He's truly 6 feet tall. Yeah, and my oldest brother, he's shorter than me. He's like, what, an inch and a half or something shorter. I can conceive in my head how tall he is. So the numbers are conceivable numbers with graduations that are conceivably scaled graduations. Yeah, that's it. That's just my thought. That's just a thought. That's a short thought. It's just that I guess what I'm saying is that some measurement systems are too abstract. So centimeters for measuring people's height, that just comes out with abstract numbers. Whereas there's something about the numbers turning out to be round numbers makes some sort of sense. Uh, and I, or I don't know. You, it's a strange quibble. It's a strange quibble what I'm saying, because other things don't seem like that. Like you buy a liter of cola. You buy a liter of cola. Like a liter of cola is a huge drink. That's a huge drink. But if you buy one of the small bottles of cola, you get, or a can of cola, that's like 330 mils. And the thing is, 330 mils, it's a third of a litre. That's what they're trying to say. It's a third of a litre. A bottle of beer, they're a third of a litre in New Zealand. If you buy a small bottle of beer, it's a third of a litre. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's 350 mils or 330 mils. It's much more than a metric cup. Because a metric cup's meant to be 250 mils. There's 4 cups in a litre. That's how metric cups work. So you have these conceivable numbers, and if you buy a box of wine and it's 3 litres. It's 3 litres in a box of wine, or what do you call it? A crate bottle of beer. The quarts. They're quart bottles. They're called quart bottles, but the problem is that the quarts are they're not even consistent between countries, because I presume American quarts and British quarts are different, and because I'm in a Commonwealth country, we must use quarts. I presume a New Zealand quart bottle is 750 mils, but there could be some odd number like 667 or something weird like that. I'm not sure. I know that like a US gallon is something like 3.73 litres. That's weird. Yeah, I try to do conversions for finding out what petrol costs in America, because they have it per gallon, but it's US gallons. I don't know what a British gallon is. Don't know. Anyway, it's just conceivable numbers or inconceivable numbers. It's just a weird thought. Anyway, discard everything that I said. There's something about Fahrenheit that does make some sense. Like, if 100 is meant to be normal temperature, and you get a fever of 104, you know that you're over temperature. Whereas, like in Celsius, I don't know what the internal blood temperature of a human, 34 Celsius, something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know if somebody's running a fever. I don't know what it is. I'd have to actually look that up. I'd have to look it up. So there could be some measurements. Maybe there needs to be special. I was thinking about this. There needs to be special scales for measuring particular things. I heard that, like, because I did environmental physics, when I was at university, one of the things in environmental physics was that there's actually a temperature scale which is, I don't know what it's called. I'm going to call it comfort scale. It's probably got a proper name. But you can report a temperature as comfortable, which means that it's neither hot nor cold. And then there's comfortably cool, which is it's cool but it's not uncomfortable. And there's comfortably warm, which is warm but not uncomfortable. And then there's uncomfortably cold and uncomfortably warm. And that's the whole scale. There's the 5 graduations on that temperature scale, and it's just a comfort temperature scale, and that kind of makes sense. And you could have another one. So I was thinking there would be one like this. If you look at the distribution of men's and women's heights, you can look at the standard deviations, and I think that the overlap between heights is that one standard deviation from the center for women above the mean is the same as one standard deviation below the mean men's height. So then you can make a scale of standard deviations. So you could make a thing called a SD height scale, and what happens is the two overlapping distributions create, what is it going to be? 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3. There's 6. There's 8. There's kind of about eight standard deviation groupings, because it's two. What are they called? Is it called a bell curve? Yeah, bell curve. There's 2 bell curves and they overlap, and so you could make a height scale which has like a adult height scale which has 2 overlapping things, and you have each grouping as standard deviation. And so you would know by some abstract numbering scheme on top of those curves, you could know whether somebody's tall or short, or median. Yeah, I should draw a diagram to explain that, but no, this is just my thoughts. Like I said, that's the kinds of things I think about when I've had coffee and no breakfast. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's the whole story. Take care. Have a nice day.